Hello. In this section, I'm very excited because we're going to be talking about getting over the fear of being an entrepreneur, a business person. We're going to talk about the fear and the doubt that most people, go through. I mean, everybody, I think I can safely say that everybody goes through the fear and doubt, self-doubt when they are starting a business or when they're running a business at some point or another. It's just an ongoing, thing that we have to continuously address our fears, address the things that get us in our own way, address the things that prevent us from improving on a day-to-day basis, whether it's improving ourselves or even improving the business. So that's what we're going to be, talking about. Fear and doubt are actually what most people, experience when it comes to stopping them or preventing them from going, from moving from their passion into business. It makes people afraid of what's, going to happen, along with the idea that, what? Is it safe for me to even be in my own business? Will I be able to generate enough income to take care of myself and my family? I know for me, it was mostly about the health insurance. And I was like, well, will I be able to pay my own health insurance? Or it's a good benefit for me to stay, on this job. Again, safety. Safety is what keeps people getting stuck in many jobs. And I'll tell you one of the things that I remember vividly when I first came to the United States. I worked in a nursing home for years. But when I first worked in a nursing home, I met these two ladies. Oh my God, they were so good to me because they taught me the job. I didn't know how to take care of people, in a nursing home, but they taught me this work. One of them had been there for 5 years, 5 years and 15 years. And, they were telling me their story of how they had been there for 5 years and 10 years. And I said to them, so what do you get after being here for 5 years? The one that had been there for 5 years, she proudly showed me a pin that says 5 years of service. She said, oh, I got this pin. And I'm thinking, 5 years and you get a pin? But okay, I didn't say anything. And then I asked the lady that had been there for 15 years, I said, what did you get? And she showed me a gift certificate, and she said she had gotten a gift certificate. And to be honest, right now, it's in one of my books. I can't remember if it was a $50 or $100 gift certificate. For all those years? Again, that's safety. Because of the safety, the little things that we get when we are in the job and we are safe keeps us caged in that space. Don't run away and quit your job today because now we're talking about independence and freedom. No. You start that other safety and freedom job, business of yours, and then quit the safe job. But don't go and quit it right now. The reality is, right, that our fears and our doubts are often based in the worst case scenarios, that we tell ourselves the worst stories. We look at the worst stories that maybe in most cases are not necessarily, impractical. As I mentioned before, nearly every success story, every hero's journey involves overcoming some level of fear. So I want to encourage you to have the courage to face your fears and continue on your path despite the fears. Continue starting that business, continue running that business, continue pursuing that career that you want, because fear will then become natural and you can walk and work with your fears without reservation. And that's the end game. I became an entrepreneur in 2006. I had been fired from a job as a care manager for one of the health insurances here called Cigna, because I had authorized additional hospital stays and also additional sessions for therapists to support their patients who were being discharged from the hospital and also from mental health facilities. So in my heart of hearts, I was doing the right thing because I knew as a therapist that the people and the information that I was being given by doctors and therapists, they needed the additional sessions. They needed the additional days. Unfortunately, the health insurances are not in it for the healing. They're in it for the business. So I got fired. I was left distraught. I was scared. I didn't know what's next. So what did I do? I found another job at a nearby hospital. But my intention from that moment, I said, you know what? I will work for myself for the rest of my days. I'm going to figure out how I can open up my own business. I want to work for myself. I want to open up a private practice where I can talk to patients and support patients, but in my own realm, and I never have to be fired again. That's, what I was thinking. And guess what? If I had not been fired, I probably would not have been that fueled to say, you know what? I'm going to start this business no matter what. So what is your why? Because that was my why. That's the reason why I was so driven to be in business from 2006 until, well, I started part-time 2006, my business, when I started the new job at Tampa General Hospital, because I was working as a social worker, heart transplant social worker over there. And then at the same time, I started working part-time in, private practice, just renting 1 day a week from a therapist that was local, because I was still going for my doctorate at that time. That was my why, because I was never, and I will never be fired from my own job and my own business. Never, ever. That was my why. Later that year, guess what? That Cigna, company that fired me, they were closed down. The whole company was closed down. I think I was fired like around March, April, and then by November it was closed out. So sometimes, there's things that happen to us in life. They're preventing us or protecting us from the worst that is happening. So here's the funny part. Whilst I was vowing that I would one day work for myself, everywhere I looked, it just seemed like plenty of qualified and unqualified people were living my very dream of working for themselves. They had private practices, and they all seemed like they're freely pursuing their passion, doing something they loved for a living, and they were enjoying it. And I would ask and interview them. They were people like myself. They were ordinary people. They were speakers, they were life coaches, they were trainers, and I wanted to do that as well. But they were doing what they wanted to do, living large and happy. They were impacting hundreds and some even millions, because I attended conferences and seminars. The distinction that I found between them and myself, was that they had the courage to step out of their comfort zones and start these businesses. They had the courage to believe in themselves, to really trust that no matter what, no matter how they fall, they would get back up. No matter how hard it would be, they would make it. And that was the difference. I realized then that I was in my own way, and I needed to overcome my own fears. I needed to get away from this paralyzing fear and self-doubt that was within me. Self-sabotage. Yes, I struggled with self-sabotage. And that was self-sabotage at its best. Yes, when you feed into fear, when you listen into doubts and scare yourself, or you listen to others, even family members, they can scare you off your dream. They can scare you away from your dream, from starting that business, from advancing in that career. So believe in yourself, and keep it close, where you're not talking to everybody and anybody, because not everybody and anybody would believe and understand what it is that you want to do. For some, it scares them for you. And then what does that do? It delays you. Fear and doubt are not exactly the same thing. Fear is emotional. It's a feeling, and doubt is uncertainty or not knowing. So it takes courage to overcome fear, whilst it takes faith to overcome self-doubt. To act out of courage is to act despite your fears. To act out of faith is to knowingly, despite having proof, still continue moving forward. The definition of failure and success are similar, but you have to define what success is for you. Because once you define what success is, guess what? That will trump over the fears or the definitions of fear that you will encounter. Because boy, will you encounter, moments of just feeling failure or actually failing. What every person, ultimately every person, is afraid of when it comes to starting a business is that my business will fail. We all have felt that. For one reason or another, we all are afraid of that business failing or us failing. This makes defining failure and success a necessary first step in the equation of you starting your business. I believe most people overlook and do not fully understand the definitions and how interrelated fear and failure are. If you had asked me at the time when I started my business, what success meant, I probably would have said to you, I want to make lots of money. I want to be able to support myself and my family, and I want to experience life luxuries. That's how I thought about it, shallow minded. But I have grown now. I have grown now. Because at that point, success meant, doing what I love, making at least as much money as I would be making if I stayed employed, but even more. And that's what I thought. And I wanted to be happier, which, is great. It's a great part of, success. But my definition of failure would not have been achieving lofty goals at that time. But the reality of it is, I was not afraid of achieving my grand vision of success. That's what I thought. And yet today I realize that being successful is also very scary. I was also afraid of being successful. One of the things that I was afraid of is, not having adequate money to keep a roof over my head. And remember now, what you think about and what you profess is exactly what you attract. And in 2006, I found myself losing the apartment that I had, 2016 actually. I found myself losing an apartment that I had acquired here in Orlando, Florida when I first moved here. I became homeless and I didn't know what to do with myself. But what my fear was, it had come true and I had lost that roof over my head. My fear was being homeless. And yes, I did become that. I write mostly about that story in my book, Unstoppable, Living a Free and Fearless Life, because I also nearly lost my life in 2016 when I was diagnosed with diabetes. I nearly went into a diabetic coma, spent, days in the hospital. I talk more about that again in my book, Unstoppable, Living a Free and Fearless Life. Listen, I am here today because I know and believe that if I could do it and I could go through all the struggles that I've gone through, but still believed in my dream of doing this with you today, creating this course, meeting with you one-on-ones and meeting with you monthly so that we can, help each other to continue dreaming, to continue pursuing our dreams, to continue building successfully, massive successful businesses, right? Then it's possible for you too. I am doing what I was born to do. Inspiring, encouraging, empowering, and motivating others to believe more in themselves and go after their heart. What a beautiful, beautiful thing it is to see and hear stories, testimonies from people that have gone through my classes or even my coaching sessions. So in the audio, I talk about some practical ways that you can use to overcome the fear of following your passion into business, the fear of your own potential. So do not forget to download the audio and listen to the audio, because I go through each of those steps that you can take today, starting today, to overcome the fear of running your own business or making your business successful, stepping even further with your business, because there's more. Even after you start your business, there's more that you can do with your business. Listen, I believe in you. I know you can do it. And now it is your turn to believe in yourself. Don't forget to listen to the audio.